I just want to jump on here really quick, and I just got back from work and another long day. But I wanted to say something just about I saw the news about Charlie Kirk, and I'm usually lately been indisposed while I'm working, and I wanted to talk about something before I go into my usual videos. Um, just about as we know, and I think the details are still unfolding at the time. At this time, shot during an event in Utah, and they thought they had the shooter, and they had to release that person, and Hunter's still on. But why? Why is it important? Right? I don't think it matters how you feel, right? And it shouldn't matter how you feel about someone's political beliefs. And there's a reason we try not to get political on the channel because a lot of the times it's just here nor there, right? And it's very divisive. It's an emotionally charged thing, but that's very similar to what we often talk about: emotionally charged situations, just in relationships, sometimes with money. So it's not as if it's a foreign domain. What I liked about Charlie Kirk, and again, you don't have to agree with his politics. Politics is fine, whatever. Um, I always liked that he was willing to have the conversation, and I think that's critically important. You should be willing to talk to people who don't agree with you, who hold different beliefs, even some people that do agree but have slightly adjacent beliefs, that they believe something slightly different than you. I think that sharpens your argument, that makes you a better listener, makes you a better communicator when you have to actually sit there and entertain and listen to what someone has to say. How it relates to our space is very similar. It's very similar. And before we continue, condolences to his family. I don't think this is ever a proper way to go about, settling any sort of dispute you have with someone in that sort of unfair manner. If you want to go out and duel like they used to do back in the day, so be it. Go knock yourself out. But to shoot someone while they have an event, and we don't know the details, but let's, like, if we're assuming, because Charlie Kirk has made quite a few people look foolish in his sort of, on his social media, in the clips, you know, of making students that, and the argument's always been like, these are students that don't know any better. I like that you would go and talk to people. You talk to students because I think he was very fond of saying that you're going to be the one shaping the future. You're going to be the ones in charge. So it matters. This is why we should have the conversation. Cool. It's the same thing we like to do on the other side of the channel, right? When we talk about relationships, when we talk about men and women feeling this way or that way. Well, it's great. That's important. These things matter to us, so we have those conversations with one another. We become sharper, we become better, we become more understanding when I'm listening to something that I wholeheartedly don't agree with. I don't jump down your throat. I try to listen for the merits and see maybe there's somewhere where I'm wrong. Maybe there's somewhere I've missed the plot. Right? We all have our own sort of blind spots, and when you talk to more people, those blind spots become smaller, smaller, and smaller, smaller. You become very. It's easier for you to abandon a way of thinking that is absolutely wrong, right? And that should be the point of what we're doing here. If you think about it like the scientific method, if you're wrong about something, science wants to be proven wrong. We want to be wrong. We want to say, oh, wow, we were completely off base with that. Therefore, but here's a new way of thinking, and we can now move forward together. That should be our goal. I want to have the conversations with people where, yeah, you know what, you were wrong. You're wrong. Or more importantly, because I don't feel like I'm wrong, right? Most people don't feel like they're wrong. When I'm making my videos, I don't feel like I'm wrong. I feel like, man, I nailed this. There's only been maybe a handful of videos that I refrain from posting because I'm like, in the better light of day, I think I'm wrong. And you never see that, so I think I'm fine. I think I know what I'm talking about. Um, oh, Vincent, you want to have a conversation or a monologue? If you want to have a conversation, yeah, just talk, say your point, and I can respond here. I tried to do a call-in show last night, but it was a little late in the day. But again, it's like I said, I'm always willing to have a conversation. If you write something poignant and I see in the chat, I'll respond to it. Do I like white people? I don't have anything against white people, right? But I think whenever you ambush and shoot someone, that's really not the way to prove any type of point that you may have. I'd rather someone come up there and debate the man, right? Beat him at his game, beat him at the thing that he is so proud of. I think that's the best way. But relating it back to, but you don't like you? I don't know what you mean by that. Us, I love black people, right? Like people like to say, yo, your mama black. But my point in talking about this is that we should have the ability to have conversations that we're not comfortable with, right? That's, again, I think that's the key to having you know making yourself sort of better at whatever you're doing, specific in that space. If you want better relationships, you want better outcomes in dating with women, with whomever, you should be able to have a conversation. This is what my point is, because Charlie Kirk was, famously known for going around these campuses, the college students, and having conversations, even going international, going to Oxford, talking to whomever who wanted to have the conversation. And I think that is something that we should be proud of, that we should be looking to embody. When we don't talk, what we end up is finding ourselves in an echo chamber. When you're in that space, when you're there and no one provides you with dissenting opinion or just a different opinion, a different way of looking at it, you slowly go further and further and further. Wow. Um, it's cool if you, I started saying it's cool if you don't like Charlie Kirk. We don't, even if someone we don't like, it's still sometimes harrowing to see in the manner in which they were killed. You don't have to like someone to recognize, hey, that maybe they had a good point. You don't have to eat at a single plate at a buffet. You can, eat from one, eat from here, eat from here. If you're Republican, you're a Democrat, you can agree with something that either person is saying. It doesn't detract from who you are. It doesn't change anything from who you are. It just means that, yeah, you're a person with different beliefs and different views and different experiences. I don't ever, that's the reason why I kind of shy away from talking politics, just because it's an emotionally charged thing where people have a trouble sort of separating the person and the message. And sometimes it's impossible to do so. Sometimes what the person does is so abhorrent to you that you can't listen to anything they have to say. And that's fine. We're not trying to convince someone that they have to do that they should do that. But in the manner in which we're trying to relate this to a larger thing, specifically to my page and what we talk about there, we want to be able to have the conversation. We want to be able to talk to each other. We want to be able to say, yeah, I don't agree with that. Or have you looked at it like this? I think that makes us better. Having the conversations, avoiding our own echo chambers is, usually the thing that's best for us. Yeah, people absolutely take criticism as hate speech. And we can look and see how it's divided sort of the country, right? And not just in a political sense, but in a sense where it's like, Joshua Bryant, you don't love me? I don't know you, but, I don't have any animosity towards you. Where we want to find ourselves in a space where we're ready to, like, quote unquote, reach across the aisle, but not just a political sense. If someone disagrees with you and wants to have a rational conversation, not just sort of troll you, not just trying to rile you up, not just trying to get you to speak, sort of emotionally. And we saw examples of that this week, or last week, with Ginger J, and just him. People forget what you were actually saying. They forget the message behind what you're talking about. Hey, I don't like this. We're here. Black women have done this, blah, blah, blah. To me, they see the emotional response. They see the emotional outbreak. So that becomes the divining message, what people remember, rather than the quality of the argument, rather than trying to refute you on your points. Bring that back to Charlie Kirk. If I can't defeat your argument, if I'm frustrated with your argument, then it's easier for me to resort to other sort of means. I think that's where we find ourselves. When you believe something sort of emotionally, and that becomes the guiding principle, the guiding light, the guiding truth, then when someone comes and tries to challenge that, it hurts emotionally, rather than it's something that you've physically have this wound, but you become so emotionally attached to something. And sometimes we become emotionally attached to things that we've never experienced. We've never had, we just accepted, or we, quote unquote, downloaded that modality, that way of thinking from our teachers, from our peers, from our parents, from our social groups. But we've never really experienced that, but we feel emotionally about it. And I'm not saying that's wrong. There's things that you can find completely aberrant because they go against your own value system. But when someone values something different, we have trouble seeing that the way you came to your own conclusions maybe is a very similar way they came to their own conclusions, and it's something also different. Yeah, definitely admonish ignorant people. People Again, this channel is new, and I just jumped on here to do this. So yeah, if we can, set up something just regularly, if people want to be moderators, you can reach out to me. That would be ultra helpful. Um, yeah, I'm gonna show you monologuing. Yeah, mainly unless you have something genuine to say. I can't keep looking down and losing my train of thought in what I want to say here. And again, if you want to have a conversation about something else, we can reach out, we can set that up on the side. Or if you're just comfortable sort of like going back, yeah, I don't think you're not being genuine. But again, this is not like sort of the time and place for it. If you want to have a constructive back and forth, I'm more than happy to, but it's going to be difficult for me to stop what I'm doing, look up and down. But back to what I was saying, how this relates to the larger space and larger things that we like to talk about, larger things we like to say. We have to be willing to have the conversation. You don't have to agree. You don't have to like it, but you should be able to at least sit there, comport yourself with some sort of behavior in which you can now listen, and maybe you can hear something that doesn't make sense. Or maybe something that says, oh, I never thought about this. I never realized this. This can help sharpen your own argument, your own way of thinking, and simply improve your life. If you take it as an opportunity to cut your teeth against something, then it's beneficial. Then it's always beneficial like that. But where we find ourselves is increasingly divisive. It's easier and easier not to do that because we have a society where we enjoy the safety of groupthink. It's easier for us to get together, talk to each other who kind of reaffirm our own belief system. That's when we end up with wilder and wilder takes that hit the internet streets, constantly. Not that I'm saying it's a bad thing. They make great things to react and jump off and talk about. But if we actually want better for us, right? Yeah, politics is definitely a blood sport. Definitely a blood sport. I'm not trying to justify political assassination at all. So you want this to be a place where you can who's talking shit? But yeah, why can't peace be achieved by both parties or a different party being? Yeah, I think there's a whole host of different options that I think we're gonna come to a place where we have to start exploring that because what we've been doing doesn't work. And again, that's more than just politically. That's relationally when we see the same complaints day in, day out, and sort of just said in different, conflicting ways. I think we all kind of want a better outcome. I mean, I can see how people would feel disenfranchised with the political and economic system. Every day there's another horror story. Every day there's another person on TikTok, on the internet saying like, yeah, I was just laid off. I can't do this. I can't do that. Essentially, the American dream is sort of like, I don't want to say it's gone. I think it's been shattered in a very short time frame. To the point, I think if there was ever a time where we needed to be better together, it's now. Right? Things are more and more difficult, and everything would be easier if we could actually find a way to find some sort of common ground and actually talk and actually have the conversation, rather than it's just us against that person. It's this political party against this little political party. That just breeds more and more and more of this, to the point where it becomes very difficult for anyone to reach across the aisle to say, hey, I see what you're saying. I don't feel the same way. I don't think the same way. Here are my reasons, and where can we find any commonality? Our conversations are rarely like that. We rarely create spaces where we can do that. Instead, what we end up with is just this sort of, I feel like this, and I caught you and I got you moment, or I got you to the point where you feel emotionally charged, and then I'll use that to determine whether or not I'm victorious in this. Camelia, how you doing? Vincent, where we can talk? Yeah, you can hit me up on my channel. I have got my email in the bio and the link. If you want to set something up, we can actually have actual dialogue. I'm more than fine with that. I said if we can have a productive conversation. I think people are kind of starved for that. People want to be able to talk about issues in a coherent manner without people screaming at each other. So everyone coming in, FHL, I don't really know what that means. Yeah, fine with being anonymous. Being anonymous is fine. I got no issue with you being like that. If you want to protect yourself, protect yourself. Not everyone has to come on and show their face to have a conversation. It just makes things a little more, difficult. If you have something you want me to talk about, you can send me an email, send me a link or something like that, and I can sort of see what you're trying to say or something and make it, to basically come to the front of the congregation and say your point. But there's a various number of ways we can do it. Again, if we're all ready and willing to have a respectful conversation, I'm all for it. I'm not important. Yeah, okay, that's up to you. So yeah, again, RIP Charlie Kirk. I think this is always it's always a sad way to, instead of actually having these thought out conversations where we sort of get to the point where we're resorting to violence. And I'm not trying to justify it. I'm not trying to make it seem like that's okay or that's expedient or that should be the way that we do things. I think it's not where we want to be as a country, because that can just snowball into things that become worse and worse and worse, where people now, instead of thinking we should take time to come together and have these conversations or talk or espouse different points, will sort of retract back, right? And now we may couch our words a little, carefully. We won't go on our limb to say what we actually think. We just kind of want to now retract and be safe and say, well, maybe I shouldn't say that, maybe I shouldn't do that. And that kind of reverts us back to where we've been, where stuff doesn't really work. We should be comfortable having conversations. We should be ready to say something. We should be able to say, hey, I believe this. These are the reasons. Keep my emotions to the side. And I don't want to make this a gender thing, but especially from that, I think last week we saw great examples of men losing their cool to the point where other men have to come in and sort of escort you out because you don't know how to get your point across without being emotionally sort of broken. When we get broken as men, we tend to cover that up with violence. That's the danger for it. So if we can actually talk, right? We can get together and say, hey, I disagree. Hey, I agree. I think we're always going to be better for that. If I'm making sense, let me know. If you think, no, this is the way we should be doing things, then I just can't get with that. I want to talk. I want, not that I'm looking forward to, like, let me come here and just sort of run my mouth. Sometimes it's better to do this and have this back and forth, have this, people to go back and forth and talk to. I think that's the most expedient way we can do things, the best things we can do. It's easy to see something and get in our own chamber and talk to our own friends who have the same beliefs, because we grew up the same way. We came from the same schools. We have the same jobs. We feel the same way about, this political party or this men or women in general. And then we get stuck. It'll be years before you find someone that makes you think otherwise. For years, like, I grew up in New York, and I still claim New York, right? New York at heart. And it wasn't until I got, I held the same beliefs that my father held, same democratic beliefs. I liked the Chicago Bulls because me and my father, we used to watch Jordan. I used to stay up late to just kind of watch him play because my father loved it. So I became not a Bulls fan, but a Jordan fan. And you accept the same sort of beliefs that your parents had. You shape them differently through your own life and through your own experiences. But what ends up happening, I didn't have these ideas challenged until I started my own business and I started working amongst people of different races. And I saw the way they did things, and I said, wow, I thought you were supposed to be the enemy. I thought this was how the rhetoric could go. Like, no. And I watched these and was like, well, maybe there's other things I might be wrong about. Maybe there's other things I might be missing out. And I think just from those experiences, and of course, not everything gets challenged, not everything gets erased, but you get better for the experience of being around other people, not just necessarily different race, but maybe different people have different ways of thinking. These were men ready to establish families. Their values were different. The men that already started their own business or collaborated and did things that I looked and said, that's impressive. And I looked and see how they did things fundamentally. And then eventually, you end up talking about more things about your life. You get to you get this little reveal about they do this, they think this. And you're like, wow, I never would have came across something like that. I never would have came across anything like that. So now I become sort of enamored, impressed, and say, wow, these are opportunities for me to grow. These are opportunities for me to do a little something better. So I think those experiences are what help us sort of color in our life, and we see, wow, this is good, this is good, this is good. So I, for such a long time, I've always said, I may not agree, but I'll have the conversation, right? They have the shooter in custody. Guess it. Well, I'll take a look later and see what's going on. I think we're all gonna sort of wait and see, but I really hope it's. I mean, there's no really making this any sort of way that's better, but I think it's a good way for us to say that we should be having actual conversations rather than feeling like our words are sort of violent or words hurt. We need to, this is the best way we have of communicating. We should, I don't know, thicken up our skin and be able to look someone in the eye and say, yeah, I don't think you're right. Right? It's something that my brother does to me often. If I'm off base or something, he'll have a different point of view, and it's fine. And it's always said with respect, it's always said with love. So that's something that I completely love. It's something I completely cherish that me and my family can do. And me and my close friends can do it. I'm hoping that everyone here has people that sits down and can have real conversations with them, challenge them. Sometimes you might have to come to the internet spaces to find that, and sometimes you hopefully have them at home. Again, if you guys want to have these conversations, feel free to check out my page. I'm always down to have a conversation and talk about things. I'm new to the space, maybe 3 months, and 3 months tomorrow makes 3 months, and I want to, have a create a space where we can have an actual dialogue. We can have it back and forth. And again, a lot of these features, a lot of these things are new to me. So, and sometimes lately in the near future, I've got to do things by seat of my pants. So sometimes something would happen like today where I said, well, I've got to talk about this, interrupt my normal schedule. We could talk just to go, sort of connect with you guys. On other times, I want to schedule things so people can know, hey, get your wine, get your popcorn, get together, let's have a conversation, let's be entertained a bit. What conversation would you like to have? Listen, I think we're the best conversations you ever have. You don't really know where they start, right? You don't really know. They just sort of evolve. You could start about, hey, this, and then 2 hours later, you guys are talking about aspects of the universe. So a lot of this, the page I'm creating, I also want it to be community driven. If you have something that's important to you, if you can, and I know nothing about it, I'm willing to listen and say, wow, I didn't know anything about that, right? Yeah, sky's the limit. As long as we can be respectful. And the important thing, sometimes my mom will check those channel. And I'm not saying I can't say things she disagrees with. It's just, I'm now going to have a 3-hour conversation with my mom about stuff, right? And please save me from having unscheduled, unsolicited 3-hour conversations where me and my mom talk about the same things again and again and again and again and again and again. So I'm always I can't tell, if my mom calls me, I'm gonna pick up, I'm gonna call her back. I can't hang up on her, right? I gotta let her talk. I gotta let her do her thing, right? She's got some wisdom she wants to drop to me. I gotta listen. Some things I didn't think about, some stuff I totally disagree with. But do things like your mom might be watching. How about that? Right? Think about it like that. Do things like your mom might turn around and see it, and you don't want to embarrass your bloodline, your clan. So if you want to have a conversation about whatever, we can do that. We're just going to be respectful, just so we don't end up being part of those people that end up, oh, my job fired me because of what I said online. We don't ever want to put ourselves in those positions, right? I don't know why we're talking about foot fungus, but yeah, shame on you. Y'all. I love moms, right? Moms are dope. I think, again, that's something that I think everyone can kind of like get on the same page. Like, yeah, you got a mom. Your mom was dope to you, or she tried to be dope. Yeah, some of you were bad moms. We can talk about some other time, but Mom's a what's up. Um, yeah, everyone say shout out to my mom. So if she does see this, I can get some brownie points and put in for sibling of the year. So again, we want to have the conversation. We want to create a space where people are actually having real dialogue back and forth. If you like that, just consider coming over to the channel, subscribing. I try to create something, a little bit something for everyone. Sometimes we need a little palate cleanse. We need to have some fun. We need a joke. We need to laugh. And you can see that we do that sort of in lives where we can actually have dialogue. We can have a little back and forths. I want to set up in the future, call-in lives where you can keep your face anonymous as long as you're respectful. And as long as you're respectful of my mom so she doesn't flip out. Yeah, I don't want it to be a place where you don't have an ability to say something or reach out to me and say, hey, I'm curious about your thoughts about this. In my info, in my bio, in the description of all the videos going forward, there's always, there's a link with my email. You can send me something that you think, hey, I think this is interesting. I'd like to see what your opinion of. I do stuff like that all the time. I don't mind putting in the work. The first video I created on this page is about discipline. And I try to do 2 videos a day, 2 shorts, just content. I try to push that out so we can have better conversations. We can talk about more things rather than, you have, and not knocking some of these bigger creators, but some people are just so big, so busy, you can't really reach out to them. There's no real dialogue. Further down the line, I want to create a space where we can talk offline. We can have a better, quicker connection. But first, I think the YouTube page is going to be just going to be a test to see if it's possible, if we can make it happen. Otherwise, I'll drop in, try to do more lives like this. Sometimes I might be, spirit, on the cuff, but you guys found it. You guys are, oh, Blue, shout out to you. Enjoy your videos. Are you some sort of vegan? No, absolutely not. I make a fantastic steak. Ribeye, I make a fantastic steak. In fact, if you find my Instagram, I have some cooking videos on there, and there's a steak. Ugh, man, forget it. Look it up. If you see it, you'll see it. Vincent, see, we're agreeing. Ribeye, moms, boom, almost best friends. So, yeah, no, not a vegan. I actually absolutely love. I'm not gonna say that because I know I have to say pause. Comes from New York, but yeah, steak. Yeah, we can do a call-in, or we can do a live show where we're all cooking together. You guys, let me know. Right? Again, I want this to be actually community driven and back and forth. You gotta baste it. Vincent, you gotta baste it. Come on now. I've tried a lot of different methods. Sous vide the thing, coming out looking weird, and then you gotta hit it on the cast iron. All right, I can go into that for days and days and days. But yeah. See, 12 ounce? Yeah. Sometimes I'll go in, and get really, 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 really like, let me get a really expensive cut of steak just so I can sit there. If I did something that I want to give myself an excuse to enjoy and celebrate, that I'll do something like that. But I'll smoke up my entire apartment. But like, now you got to get into cooking oils and different, cooking temps and smoke points. And yeah, I like to make it an art. Again, if you find my Instagram, I've got cooking videos on there. Nice little track, nice little music to that. I think the page is the real Mr. Easy. Go check that out. Look at it, like it, and say, and then send me a link to your own videos, your own pictures, you guys cooking. If we're gonna kick off the steak group, right? We see what's up. But again, Oklahoma here. Yes. Oh, shout out to you, Yappers. I appreciate you, yoggers. Yeah, I try to do dope shit. And this YouTube is the latest part of that journey, in sort of, in a way, trying to incorporate all the things that we can put together. For copyright reasons, some of the music that Instagram lets you put on your tracks and TikTok lets you put on your tracks, I can't put on YouTube. But if I find a way to actually merge those worlds together, that may be something I can do down the line. A lot of it's going to be driven by what people want to see, what people respond to, what people come and say, oh yeah, I tuned into that. I liked it. Thumbs up. Guys, hit the like button when you're coming in. It just, again, pushes this algorithm further out. The algorithm push it further out. So in that way, we can just get more eyes on it. We can actually have positive conversations, and then we can start our steak club, right? And then whoever makes the best steak now has to make steak for everyone else. I think that's a wonderful idea. Yeah, did not like Charlie, rest in peace. Yeah, no one should be murdered. No one should be murdered. Outside the theater of war, when you all agree to go to war, and those that agree, not the rest of us. You want to do that leave that. I would, like I said, I would rather have someone come and debate the man and crush the man, right? And talk and like, you said this and this date, and rather have you, that feels more like, cool, I get it. You researched this and you thought about it. Just the same way he did it when he came to the colleges. I think that's always the better, rather than thinking it best to make this person a martyr for this cause. If what people are saying that it was someone, transitioning that did this, that doesn't help your point. That never helps your point, right? You make this person a hero, make this person a martyr, or it just shows that you weren't able to talk to this person like this, right? And the important thing is that man had a family. That man had a family. So what happens? Yes, after that, what happens to those? What does his children have to do with any? What does his wife have to do with any of that? When we want to have empathy, we want people to have empathy for our issues and our thoughts and our lived experience, but we can't show that same compassion back. Right? That is a warped sense that doesn't do us any sort of justice. When you want again, bring it back to the page. When you want women to understand, as a man, this is how we think, this is what we believe, but we turn around and we'll shut down what they have to say about their own lives, with their own belief systems. That doesn't help. That doesn't work, right? When we can actually say, I hear what you're saying, and I understand this, and my issue, and put a 1 in the chat if you already experienced this. You're talking to someone about an issue, about a problem, and then you turn around and say, yeah, but men do it too, women do it too, but I did this because you did this, right? That doesn't help us actually, that doesn't help us do anything. That doesn't help us move forward. All we end up doing is further entrenching ourselves on either side. And what happens? We all end up not even a compromise. No one gets what they want at all. Everyone just gets like whatever. I don't want to have those outcomes in my life. And I want people that come to the page to be able to say, okay, I don't agree with what you just had to say there, but here's my rebuttal, right? Here's my rebuttal. Here's what I think. And then we can talk about that. Anyone that's actually subscribed to the page, you see, yeah, I try to be in the chats, right? I try to jump in, and sometimes we'll joke, we'll laugh. I'll post something that will highlight something in the hyperbole, where you see that's ridiculous, but we get what the message is here. That when you get so far entrenched on one side, you can't see the other. The other side doesn't make sense to you. It sounds weird. And then when we take that, we remove it from the context, we remove it from the space, and we put it for us to look and view, you kind of see how it sounds ridiculous. Like some of the stuff that we're hearing, oh, a man's got to pay me $10,000 in order for him to date me. Us in the real world, closer to a line to the truth, that sounds silly to us. Right? That sounds absolutely silly to us. But when you get in your echo chamber, when you keep hearing these same things over and over again, and you believe them, and you think these are true, you think these are wrong, then it emboldens you to do something like happened to Charlie Kirk today. And it's not just Charlie Kirk. We see different examples of this. We see it in the same way when, children often will go to school and shoot, or mass killings. These are innocent people that had nothing to do with you, nothing to do with your life. But they were just there at the wrong time, wrong place, because whatever's going on with your life, you didn't have people that either, one, cared enough about you, two, you were never taught how to actually not internalize what people are saying to you. You take that and that supplants who you are as a person, and you believe that and you go forward. And you think you're worth this, or you have poor self-esteem, and you somehow think this is the best solution, or that not even best solution, that this is a viable solution. This is a viable solution, right? Charlie Kirk brought this on himself. I can't agree with that. I don't think anyone does anything like that, talking and having a conversation, even if you don't agree with it. Because you can easily find the same simile on a different side. There's someone that says these things and goes around and says and does the same things. That person doesn't deserve to be murdered by someone of the opposite side. Just have the conversation. Debate the man, right? Next time someone, go debate the man. Have that conversation. Make him seem like a fool by your own words, you put this logic, this reasoning together. People like in the online space, they have their points solidified. They're in cement. They're online. You can go there. You can download it. They can even say, oh crap, I said something silly. Let me go back and delete that. But you have it. It's out there. So you can always reference that and say, you said this. Like with, we talked about this on a live yesterday with Sadia Khan. We've got you on record saying these things. This is what a real woman does, and hyper. This is how you get yourself a high value man, and then we have the recordings of her talking and moving like this. So we get to see the economy. We get to see how it doesn't make any sense in the real world. We get to see, oh, you're a fraud. You don't do this. So if you ever want to sit there and debate someone that's put their business, their ideas, their opinions out there, it's easily done. You go there and say, hey, these things, you said it in this context, blah, 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 blah. And I think real people go there and say, oh, you know what, you might be right. Right? You might be right. So you don't, again, if you say MLK is a bad person, go there and tell him why he's not. And then also go there and say, that's cool. You can feel like that. That doesn't change my opinion of MLK. Cool. The minute we let the words become the I don't want to say that because it's out of taste, but the minute we let the words become our fists, become the way, the avenue that use to hurt someone, we've already lost again. You have to be able to say, cool, that doesn't change how I view and how I'm living and how I'm going about my life. You have that opinion. Sir, I don't have to see you, I don't have to know you, I don't have to tune into any of yourself. I can just go about my business. This doesn't affect my life. Or if it's so poignant, so important to you, you go there, next time he's having an event, go make him look like a fool. That's it. Go make him look like a fool. That should be the avenue. You go and you beat someone at their own game. Hey, you're really great at this. Here I came and stumped you. And I'll have my people record it so you can't clip this out and I can put this on the internet. Oh yeah, boom, exposed. And that, people will love that. People will pick that up. People go nuts about that. You don't like what someone has to say, you don't like them as a person, go beat them at their own game, especially if they just come out here and running their mouth and talking. Start your own channel, right? There's plenty of people out there who made entire channels dedicated to debunking what one person is saying. And those are wildly popular. People love to hear that counter argument, that counter claim. Hey, you said this, but that didn't make any sense. And here's the evidence, here's the proof. Take a look at that. So guys that are coming in, hit the like button. Consider coming to the channel, subscribing, having these conversations. We talk about this all the time. And Katcha, listen, when I read your name, I'm thinking of like One Piece with the Den Mushi, Katcha. But if you want to become a mod, send me an email. Let's talk about it. I have one single mod on this channel, and she volunteered to help. So people that actually volunteer that want to help build this channel, I want to be part of that moving training as we're building momentum. Subscribe, come over, let's have that conversation. Let's talk about it, right? I think I only get better from these conversations, from these interactions with people. You've never had an ability to reach out and talk to so many people of so many different walks of life, so many different ideas, that it can only help you if you're willing to actually thread the needle and have these real conversations. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Oh, my sister's in the chat. Shout out to her. Oh, you did catch. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have told you that I was going live. You did tell me to do that. My bad. I will call you after this and profusely apologize. Again, like I guys were telling you, if my mom checks us out, my sister checks us out, my brother checks us out, and they're like, shame on you. If my father has YouTube in heaven, and he comes and tells me in a dream that I'm doing poorly, I gotta answer to that, and I'm not comfortable doing that. All right, don't call me wayward boy in life. Okay, I'll call you. We'll talk about this. Yeah, I think we all know who the Harvey Oswald is, but that's a conspiracy. That's a line of thinking. Like if we were having this conversation together on a live, Adrian, I would just let you kind of rock it. You would take the lead and you talk about your ideas and your theories about this. I would sort of just get back and say, okay, let me listen, let me learn something. I think that's the way we should be doing these things. Anatomy on Jerk Made Life. All right. Yeah, Yaga, she's my sister, my real life blooded sister, the first of our line of the sibling line. Um, so yeah, if you come to the channel and every time, if I get a chance to throw little things about my siblings in there, I'm always gonna shout them out. They're super dope, awesome. The reason I get to do what I can do, and the reason I'm always trying to better myself. But yeah, hey Marissa, hey Invisible Edits. Yeah, I'm family first. That's my thing, and they're like my. I've got a core group of supporters here that really make the difference, and new people coming in all the time that stick around to the channel. They come, they subscribe, and then they give their opinions. And yeah, there's things we disagree with, and I'll listen. I'll hear the point of view. I'm like, oh, okay, I can see that. I can see where I may be off base. I can see where I'm wrong or something here. So that's the point. That's what we want to do. Right? Think about it as me being selfish. I get a chance to improve on myself, and that's always been my name of the game. I want to be better, and these things are probably the fast track for me getting better. But we can create a channel, create a space that talks about a myriad of issues where it's all right if we don't agree, right? If we don't agree, it's fine. It's fine. Right? There should be plenty of stuff we don't agree on, but we can both learn from each other. I know it feels like a one-way thing. Like I'm coming on here, I'm showing my face, I'm showing my videos, I'm telling my story, I'm telling about myself. But this is where you guys come in and interject and say, yo, this happened to me, this happened to me, this is what I did. We have videos talking about interracial dating and they have white men talking about, hey, this happened to me, this is my experience. People talking about stuff they experienced from the 70s, the different generation, people from across the pond. And we just get better with every conversation, every disagreement, everything that we think that's different, right? Yeah. Yeah, bad family too. Montana, Europe, no answer? About what? Yeah, just come to the channel. You see people actually there talking about their experiences. The demographics, they're not locked. If you come and see something, think of it as a buffet. You come, see something you like, eat. You don't like it, you leave. Right? There's no harm, no foul. Right? There's no price for entry. You just come take a look. Right? Come and say some nice things. Don't embarrass me in front of my mom. That's what I'm talking about. All right, Zoe, thank you. Yeah, again, if I'm on live talking to you guys, it's hard to sometimes direct my attention down to the chat and see what's happening. Right? That's why they have a super chat. It hits different on a different screen. You can simply see those. I'm not asking people to donate super chat. Just came on to talk about we should be able to have conversations where we have differing opinions. That's it. Right? And it's easy for me just to look right ahead and talk to you guys rather than somehow going up and down. Until you can actually like do it yourself and have people in here have real conversations back and forth without slowing down the chat. It's almost impossible to do that, right? Yeah, Marissa, I wanted this conversation to be different. Someone else was murdered. Unfortunately, we know it would be, right? We know it would be. Yeah, we should have conversations with different opinions, period, right? And of course, if I actually know you, if you donated to the channel before, if you're like even one of the top fans, it has little like crowns, or if I actually know you in real life and see that, it's easy for me to stop and see that, right? If I've interacted with you before, yeah, okay, got it. But if you just come on here and say, respond to this, I don't know who you're talking about. So yeah, but my point is, if you want to have these conversations, I want to have an interactive channel where we can do the back and forth. As the channel grows, it's going to be harder and harder to actually sometimes come in and respond to everyone that's saying something, but we're nowhere near there. So I try to respond to people that actually have productive things to say. If you're just joking, laughing, joking, which is fine, say it. It all helps the algorithm, it all helps the channel. I'll interact. I'll have the back and forth. It's all helpful. Even the negative things help the channel. The algorithm doesn't really care about conflict. It just says, all right, you guys are actually here. So if you guys are here, we can use that as a proof positive that we can actually build and this thing has legs, that we can go places, we can build this as something, a community that we all sort of a hand in building. I think that's a good way of doing it, because it's easy just, again, to get down into, I'm just talking about things that I find interesting and I think that are important. I want to have this to be sort of more. I want to have this place that we can look back and say, we're kind of proud about this. We're kind of proud that we built something dope here. If you guys are into that, throw a subscription, throw a like, right? Not even asking for your money, right? Unless you got billions of dollars or something. Then yeah, sure. Throw me a couple of mils, right? Throw me a couple of M's. Never hurt anyone. But again, back to our original point, we don't want to foster a society in which we think that using violence of this means is the answer, right? And it's easy to see it because it's easy to think that because it gets so much attention. When we say wild stuff on the internet, it gets so much attention, right? We have, plain examples of that, or we like to see when someone falls from grace. All these things get plenty of attention. But the real work is in the in-between. The real work is the boring stuff. The real work is having those conversations back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? That's what's actually useful. People come in the room curious about what? What I'm missing? Yeah, like Marissa, you're saying about the people commenting. Sometimes let it happen. Whatever. We like, as long as what I do with like this page, and because there's negative commentary, or those people coming in who whatever they're upset about whatever, or they're just misunderstood. Sometimes it hits and then it just rolls off my back because there's something else to do. There's something else to look at. And then there's a real core group here that are coming daily to talk about things, to just be entertained. And I let that sort of just be the fuel. Let that be the thing that keeps pushing me in the right direction. I know one thing, that you can't please everyone. And a conversation I had with some of my friends when this channel was, it's in its infancy, but it's really in its infancy. We went out to dinner and they were saying like, yo, don't be afraid just to say what you think, your opinion. You can't please everyone. You can't toe the line. And some people are not ready to understand what you're saying, or some people are tired of it and they're so set in their ways and they have their own belief system. All right. All you can do is, every time I've come into an issue with this channel, by issue, I mean, I'm upset that it's not where I think it should be. That's my own impatience, and that's my own folly. That's a long cross to sort of bear. I realize the answer is just do more of the work. Just do more of the work. That's all I could really sit down and do. Just do more of the work. I think that's the best thing we can do for it. He witnessed a brutal murder of a young man in line with the right and was murdered in cold blood for it. All views taken. He was a young father who used debate as an instrument. I focus on the people left behind, right? I don't have to agree with the man. Right? In fact, your political beliefs. I think we can still take snippets, right? There's that saying that a broken clock is right twice a day. You take the same approach. You may something like, what I like about Charlie Kirk is that he was just having conversations without getting into the weeds, without getting into saying like, this is right, this is wrong, this is right. I like that you were just having conversations. And that's at the heart of what I try to do. I'll have the conversation, even if it's something that I'm completely foreign at, completely out of my depth. Let me listen and have the conversation. I think that makes us better. I think that's the thing that we do most frequently is bump our gums. The thing we do most frequently is bump our gums. So let's have it, right? Let's talk about it. Let's say it, right? Let's go back and forth. Let's just do that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Have the conversation. It's when we stop talking, things get problematic. When we stop communicating with each other, genuinely communicating with each other. When I'm talking, I'm saying things and I'm just trying to get under your skin, I've already lost the argument. But the minute you get emotional, people look and say, you got it. You won that. He won that debate because now he's flying off the handle. That's what we see. That's what we remember. I want to have positive conversations that make sense. Charlie Kirk's, he was right-wing conservative. He played a major part in getting Trump elected by galvanizing sort of the young, disaffected vote of young men, especially those in the corners of the internet that mainstream media sort of forgot. Rob, every time you say that, I'm spitting right now. The meme with Wesley Snipes comes to my head right there. Yeah, Vincent, if you think Trump is a joke, that's fine. I'm not here saying he's not, right? It's whatever. Okay, we live in a very meme heavy society because then this other meme comes in my mind, Vincent. We say it says it's like I forgot. I think it's from the Goonies. It's like and the caption says he stole your president, right? um, whatever system you believe in, right? I think we all can agree we want America to be better than it currently is. To varying degrees, we want America to be better. That's sort of my stance. I'll just leave it like that. We want things to be better than the way it is. Um, yeah, imagine not being able to fight with words, let alone fists. You have to be a coward and resort to sniping a guy from his pin. Exactly, Jay. That's exactly exactly my point. Come out there and say, here's my opinion. Here's my well-reasoned opinion. Even if you got to use ChatGPT and cheat, do whatever you got to do, right? Do the research. Come there and say, I'm coming to you on your stage where you are the prince, you are the king, and this is where you are said to be the best in this arena. And what you're doing. I left my gun at home because I'm going to destroy you with the words. And you have that reasoned debate. And even if you come and say and have them say, that's a good point, right? That's a good point. If anyone saw recently, I'm not in no way I'm telling you to advocate for shooting anyone. Ben Shapiro on the Breakfast Club. Go there, have conversations with people that don't agree with you, right? And then you can see how that works. You can see when people like, okay, Breakfast Club, you're purely kind of for entertainment, and sometimes you jump into the political arena and other spaces. Ben Shapiro does this, Harvard trained, Harvard educated. You can see the difference. You don't agree with Ben Shapiro, beat him like that. Beat him at his game. Don't come at his character. Don't come at his height. Don't come at his voice. Don't do anything. Come and beat him at his game. Just do that. I think that sends a larger message to people. That sends a large. People see that, they hear that, and say, "Wow, you kind of smash it. You kind of beat him there." That's what we want to see. That makes sense to us. You know. So, my original. Okay, I don't know. I missed that in the chat. Shout out to Kathleen from Troy, New York. So New York's the best. Obviously downtown New York is where it is, right? Downstate, that's where it is. But yeah, we understand. We still represent you. We still love you guys up there. Yeah. So we need to come together love, but also we need to uphold law and order. Absolutely right. That's right. Rob says the whole point is that everyone should have their own opinion. Anything that is opinion can be had out. Exactly. I like this. You like that. They're opposing views. There's no need for violence. You just disagree differently. You think something else. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. When we get to the point where my words and when you get in your, this is how I think this happens. You get in your echo chamber and you hear the same things again and again and again and again. It sort of just continues pushes you further and further to the left, to the right, whichever part, but further from sort of what is commonly held as reality. Then when you say things like they stop making sense to the rest of us, when you come back from that echo chamber in that space and you say things, we're looking like that doesn't make any sense to us, right? When you say your words are violent, that we have trouble understanding that. We have trouble seeing that as like that doesn't make sense. They're just words. I'm just trying to get my point across. And sometimes, yes, people are unusually hurtful. Sometimes people can be unusually hurtful when they say these things. Sometimes because they don't know any other way to communicate rather than to try to get you off your game, to be hurtful, to attack you. Instead of the content of what you're saying, they try to attack your character. And then that gets further and further pushed to the other side. We have that conversation about mental health, and this plays another factor, another key factor in having people being disassociated with larger society. And it hurts. And then they turn to what seems to be the thing that puts, I need this person to stop speaking, so I turn to violence. And this is not, I think, conducive to any type of real conversation or real type of society. It's something that we should really stray away from doing. But it's easy for that to become the norm. This is something unfortunate. So at least with the Charlie Kirk, with that, we'll have to wait and see what information comes out. But for us, we can say condolences to him and his family, to his family, to his, you have children, you have a wife that had nothing to do with any of this, but now will have that hole in their heart, hole in their soul, hole in their family because of this. At 31 years old, that's young, right? That's young. But regardless of how you feel, don't feel, I think we can always have like some sympathy for the ones that are left behind. I think that's fair to say. That's a fair position to have, it's a fair position to take. Whether or not you agree with the man or not, right? Whether or not you agree or not. Again, guys, if you want to have real conversations, sometimes you want to come and be entertained, come over to the channel, subscribe. I like the interaction. I like the back and forth. We're trying to build something where we can actually have conversations. We can give value back to you guys. I like to use the we in the royal sense that we're all in this sort of together. So we can actually build something together where we can see, yeah, we did this. We did this thing. In time, we could turn around and look and say, look how it started, look where we are now. Those of us that came on the train, on this moving train, people that came from various reasons, some people came from different spaces, different sectors, but we're all trying to build something collective where we all can at least walk away with some sort of lesson, some sort of ideal. We don't feel as if, we're just kind of being lectured at, we're just not having our voices heard. That's the type of space I want to create. If that makes sense to you, come on over. Subscribe. Again, the most important thing here, though, we're not talking about donations, we're not talking about super chats, we're talking about don't embarrass me in front of my mom. Don't do that, right? My mom comes and sees this, and then I've got to have the 3-hour conversation about it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to do that. So again, don't embarrass me. Make me look for good in front of my siblings, especially my aunt. Sometimes she checks this place out. And then I can put in for sibling of the year. It's a competition I made up, and we try to do this every year. I try to do this every year to try to become the best son, the best sibling, the best child. But I got steep competition, so you guys can help me out. I really appreciate that. Guys, I got to set up the uploads for tomorrow. We try to upload twice a day at Central Time, 6 o'clock and 1 o'clock, 1 or 2 o'clock. We'll try to do 2 a day. It's been the running. We've been running that since it started, like June 11th. Try to do 2 a day. Sometimes we do 4. If you guys have any type of videos you want to see, you want highlighted, if it makes sense for the channel, you can find my email in the description. Send me a link. Also, sometimes send me context about what you want to talk about, what you're angling for. And I'm more than happy to do those videos. I'll put them in the queue, put them in a lineup. A couple of people have already done that, and they'll see I'm good on my word there. So guys, hopefully I might do another live stream Sunday where people can bring some wine and chill and relax. Put on a little show for you guys. I'll see what I can do. For those of you who came in, really appreciate you guys having these conversations back and forth. Again, I'm new to the space, but I'm really enjoying it, really enjoying just talking with you guys. And sometimes, yeah, it's difficult for me to listen to my own voice and play some of the stuff back. But we're trying to get better with each and every time we do an upload. So guys, I'll see you in the next.